Good morning, viewers. Today, let us discuss how we can make our speech more informal and more natural, almost like the native speakers. In fact, I worked with three native speakers from London 10 or 15 years ago. And when I interacted with them, I came to the conclusion that their English sounded more natural, and my English sounded somewhat grammatical because I have learned the language, they have acquired the language. And also, they are using some colloquialisms and also some more idioms and phrasal verbs. The tendency of the non native speakers like us is to use high sounding words and also the words where some idioms and also phrasal verbs are used. For example, instead of saying that I have put on a new dress today, we usually say I have worn a new dress today. So it's better and more informal, and actually it is more accurate or more useful to use put on than to use wear, because native speakers usually prefer phrasal verbs to their synonyms. If you want to make your speech native like, if you want to make your speech somewhat informal, you have to use more and more phrasal verbs and idioms. So instead of mastering the grammar all the time, it is better for all of us to master the phrasal verbs and also how to use the idioms correctly in the context. They are not impossible to master. In fact, they are more easy to master the phrasal verbs and idioms than the grammar. The learning of grammar is endless. It is also complex and a complicated phenomena. No native speaker or even the non-native speaker or even the professor of English can't master all the grammatical items in the language. So there is no uniformity about the correctness of grammar, even in the native or non-native context. So it is a debatable and controversial issue. Instead of going very deep into it, unless you are doing a PhD on a grammar or something else, it's better for us to concentrate more on making our speech or conversation or dialogue more intimate, more personal, and more touching, and more natural by making use of many phrasal verbs and idioms. The second one is never try to show off or never try to display your knowledge in English. Don't try to use unnecessary and high sounding words to prove that you have learned a lot of vocabulary or you have mastered a lot of vocabulary. The greatness of a speaker doesn't lie in using high sounding and superfluous words, but the greatness of a speaker or conversationalist lies in making his point come across, making his point clear, making his point precise, so that the listeners can understand his point of view. That's more important. You can make your point very clear by using very simple words, very common words, very easily understandable words. What you use is not so important as how you send the message, how you how you affect your listeners or your readers. That is more important. I talked to many professors of English. They had many degrees to their credit. In fact, they lived in foreign countries like America and England for many years. But I spoke to them. They spoke very simple, good, and correct English. That should be our aim. Even if you use a number of high sounding words, you may make a number of mistakes. That's not should not be the case. You have to speak correct English. Your English must sound natural. Your English must be correct. Your English must be idiomatic. Your English must be full of idioms. So, our goal is to learn more and more idioms, more and more phrases. It is better to say that you have to keep up your dignity instead of you have to maintain your dignity. No native speaker says that you have to maintain your dignity. All the native speakers that you have to keep up your dignity. That's very natural. Yes, there are many partial verbs. Of course, their use is difficult because if you change the preposition, the meaning changes. But if you use it constantly and consistently, you will definitely come to know their use. You can use them in your speech and writing. That should be our intention. That should be our habit. That should be our goal to make our speech, our conversation, our dialogue full of idioms, phrases, and fragile verbs. If you make use of them in your speech and writing, you sound to be more natural, more idiomatic, and even you sound like more native like. That should be our goal. Of course, you may not speak exactly like the native speakers, as per as our pronunciation, intonation, stress, and other prosodic uses are concerned. But as far as vocabulary is concerned, you may speak like the native speaker. You may use your structures like native speakers. Once you start using the aforementioned words like phrasal verbs, idioms, phrase prepositions, your speech sounds exactly or almost exactly like the native speaker. Even the native speakers appreciate your English and they understand you well. You can put forth your point of view very easily, and even the learners or listeners can understand, or the learners can understand your English because you are using good English, you are using simple English, you are using idiomatic expressions, and you are not using unnecessary high sounding superfluous words, which definitely hampers the impression of your listeners. They don't like the high sounding words. What they want is your clear explanation and your clear and precise point of view. Thank you very much for watching our channel. Let's meet tomorrow again. Thank